Hey, Fight fans, welcome back to Carl Prusa MMA. Today, we got a returning guest to the platform. You might have seen this gentleman in some wicked, crazy fights from the regional scene in Boston to being onto the Ultimate Fighter to the BKFC. He is taking the gloves off once again, June 14th, taking on Zachary Pannell. He is the one, the only. He's Mr. Rico DiSciullo. Rico, what up, man?
What's going on, man? How's it going?
It's going good, man. Nice to have you on here again, man. We talked a few months ago. You're coming off of your first BKFC fight. You got a beautiful third-round victory over Anthony Foy. You know, after having that experience, after tasting the bare-knuckle boxing environment, was it a no-brainer? But to do this again?
Honestly, I loved it 10 times more than I expected to. Like, I knew that format and like that style was kind of built for me in a way, but it's like, anything new can be a little bit like there's a lot of what ifs, you know what I mean? But damn, man, after that, I was like instantly hooked. Like, obviously, I'm not saying I'm done with MMA by any means, but I mean, it's gonna be hard to get me back doing MMA unless it's like, it's just worth it because, I mean, this format, this style suits me so well, and I feel like I could be a world champion in this format, to be honest.
No, absolutely. You know, I think one thing there's a misconception when you take the gloves off. I think it becomes very mental. You know, the best term for it, you have to have that dog in you, man. I don't think any guy in the UFC could either do bare knuckle MMA or bare knuckle boxing, and just because they did great with gloves on, have that carry over. Do you feel like having that mentality, having a strong mental game, is that key in a bare knuckle environment?
100%. But I think more so than even that is just intelligence, like knowing how to show aggression so much, but really all I'm really doing is setting up and pulling punches out of people, making them miss and making them pay. Like at the end of the day, you know, the name of the game in striking is hit and don't get hit. You know what I'm saying? So like you got to have a really high IQ, and you also have to understand like proper technique because you have no gloves on to shield you from certain things. You know what I mean? If you punch someone wrong in the top of the head, they dip down, you punch in the crown of their head. Or if, like, another thing too is they get inside dirty. You're gonna see me do this a little bit is like show up like this, stuff with your elbows. They're punching your elbows. They're breaking their hands off your elbows. So you can almost use your elbows defensively, you know, to target hands and stuff. There's a lot of cool things you can do since you're allowed to clinch with one hand as well. You know what I mean? So you can clinch the back of the head, pull them into punches. Now they start covering up. You hit an angle, start ripping the body. But you got to be very accurate and stuff because you hit a hip the wrong way, you hit bone the wrong way, your hand's gonna break, and you know what I mean. That's all you got. You know what I mean? So I think I think coming from an MMA background, especially doing Muay Thai for so long, and like obviously wrestling and grappling and like everything that comes with MMA, and the way that I fight, particularly, I like to keep it standing. I like to keep it striking. And I actually did bare knuckle. That's actually what got me into MMA. But this was just rugged shit when I was a kid. Fucking definitely not legal. Definitely not sanctioned fights. But like it got me kind of prepared for that type of stuff. That's what got me into MMA, to be honest. But yeah, man. I mean, I think it's. I think you almost have to be smarter, but you can also get away with being like a grunt if you know how to do what you're doing it. But you know what I mean. You can just dig down, bite down on your mouthpiece, and fucking charge away. And you can make someone technically make a mistake, put them on their back foot. There's so many different ways to go about it. But I've always been the guy that to be, you know, some people call me like a technical brawler, but I'm not really brawling. I'm putting on a pressure and a pace that makes people look like I'm pulling the brawl out of them so I can pick them apart. You know what I mean? That's really my game plan most of the time is make people so uncomfortable they start throwing back in an uncomfortable way where it's opening them up and it allows me to kind of turn into a sniper and just start picking them apart.
You know, compared to an MMA training camp, well, a bare knuckle boxing one, is this more, let's say, dirty boxing training, more clinch work, more working on the jab, or is it pretty relatively the same?
No, no, it's way different because I'm not doing any type of grappling whatsoever. Usually that's like a big focus of mine is like takedown defense and jujitsu and a lot of stuff because I feel like my striking's already like at a very high level. And we know what everybody's going to try to do. They're going to try to get me to the ground, slow me down, wear on me. But I'm always trying to keep up with my footwork and and feints and movement. But I think this with no gloves at all, it's way different than just prepping for like a regular boxing event or something like that. So you really like we're really going into detail about like when we're inside or in like actual punching range, not from the outside, like mid range to inside. Really being smart about showing up, keeping tucked, rolling with punches properly. A lot of good defensive stuff to counter. you know, um, and a lot of stuff from the outside to fake to open them up. You know what I mean? But it's more about detailed stuff, especially with like the clinch. You know, it's a metal. People don't know that squared circle they call it is so that it's not real rope. What it is, it's like metal. It's actually like hard, so it's like almost like a cage in a way, which you know what I mean. I'm used to, and we actually have a cage at my gym that I train at Eddie Alvarez Family Boxing over like right down the street from my house, where I do all my training for these fights now. Um, he's got a cage that's just about the same size, which is perfect because it's a firm cage. You're not getting that flex where you in boxing you can kind of peel away from punches a little bit. Tuck your chin and they start throwing hooks. You can kind of peel away, then maybe get under and circle out. With this, once you hit that wall, you're kind of stuck there, so you don't really have that ability to pull away. You know what I mean? You see guys a lot of time guys get backed up to the circle and then they end up getting put in a bad situation, especially some of these guys with not a lot of not as much experience. What's happening? You see them getting TKO'd instead of just dropping to a knee because they're just like and they either get knocked out or TKO'd. Where if you're hurt, if you're smart, you're really that hurt, just take a knee. They'll call a couple seconds. Now this way you guys start back up separated at least. You know what I mean? Otherwise you're gonna get finished. You know what I mean? What good are you if the fight's over? Nothing. The fight's over. You lost. You know what I mean? At least if you can keep it going, you get a chance no matter what. You know what I mean? So in my eyes, there's like my IQ, I feel like, is just a lot higher than some of these guys. And not only that, it's just striking in general. I feel like my IQ is up there with some of the best. You know what I mean? Like I know that. You know what I mean? I've trained with some of the best in the world, and it's crazy like how much they would like. Everybody's just like, what the like don't maybe because I'm not like a household name. They're just like, who is this? You know what I mean? I know what I'm capable of. I always I believe in my skill set, and I know what I can do, and I'm really excited that BKFC is starting to boom right now because right now is a time for me to kind of show the world what the fuck I can do and entertain the fans and get some wild fucking viral knockouts and really hopefully I don't even really care about being a household name. I want to get that cheddar, dude. You know what I'm saying? That's really what it's about. I want that money. And I want to prove to myself what I can do at the highest level. You know what I mean? I'm a dangerous wit man with my hands. You know what I mean? And I'm going to showcase it for sure.
In this day and age right now, combat sports absolutely blowing up, man. I mean, I think almost everybody you see in public, almost anyone can tell you some sort of fighter, whether it be a boxer, whether it be an MMA guy. You have a lot of those fans who don't watch it in every single day, but they'll watch it occasionally. They want to see the big knockouts. They want to see violence. They want to see excitement. Do you think a platform like BKFC, do you think that is built for those people and, helping a wider range of audience of individuals watch combat sports?
Yeah, 100%. I think the best part about it is they do everything really right. I fought for a bunch of different promotions. I fought for Bellator, CES. I fought in the Ultimate Fighter. I fought for the Contender. You know what I mean? I've been around some of the best. Around, and they do a really good job from top to bottom, like with everything that they do. The production. I don't know if you watch it on DAZN, if you've ever watched them on TV. They have like those zip line cameras like they do in the NFL. You know what I mean? That kind of right over and then come over the top. Like everything that they do, is quality. They got Sean Wheelock doing the commentary with Chris Lytle. They're fucking phenomenal. You know what I mean? They work really well together. They've known each other for years, and Sean's one of the best broadcasting MMA guys or combat sports guys in the world. You know what I mean? He's so on point. He's so dialed in, and it's just I think that everything that they do, and now since it's been around for a long enough time, they're getting okays and okay to have promotions where they haven't been able to. After I fought in February, I think they went right from there to either Italy or I think they went to England and then maybe Italy after. And but they're going all over the place now. You know what I mean? So they're starting to spread worldwide. Really, you know what I mean? They're having shows, and I think they had a show in Dubai. You know what I mean? They're all over the fucking place. So it's like they're blowing up. This sport is the next big thing. I honestly believe that it's going to be. I know everybody says, oh, nothing's really going to be able to compete with the UFC. It's so big and this, that, whatever. Years to come, man. I feel like you said, with the casual fans wanting to see that action and all that stuff, it's like probably you can get the pay-per-view for like $10. You know what I mean? You can a lot of the stuff, the prelim stuff's all free for the most part. You can get like, and all the fights are fucking, they're fast, they're exciting. There's no lulls. You know what I mean? There can't be a lull. You know what I mean? There's no, you can't just grab and stop. There's just nonstop action. It really is. And it's crazy because at first when I first saw it, I was like, oh, this is just fucking crazy. You know, these guys are all kind of goons and blah blah blah. Like I wasn't really into it, to be honest. And now it's like, getting more and more and more quality fighters. You're starting to see like how technical and how different they have to fight than traditional boxers and stuff. And it's just like, and once I did it and I realized how different it is, but how like authentic and raw it is, I was like, holy shit, this is the best fucking thing ever. I was instantly hooked. Like I remember being like, I think it was like the second round, and I'm just like, this is the fucking funnest fight I've ever been in. Like it was just the atmosphere, the way that they have the setup, like the big screens. You walk down, like everything about it was they just did a fucking fantastic job, and I think people are noticing. And like you said, everything's so fucking fast, and everybody wants instant, like just high pace fights, and just that's it. You know what I mean? It's not like you're ever gonna get lulls and stuff. It's just nonstop action, and they put together good cards and good matchmaking, and so it's like I see it fucking just sky's the limit for them. To be honest.
No, absolutely. When you look at mixed martial arts for so long, there was a time where it was not legal at every single place. People thought it was like wild, wild west. People have referred it to human cockfighting, like this was criminal behavior,
Right.
all this stuff. At one time, did you ever even think we'd have something like BKFC, nor you be involved in it?
Not really. Even though I mean, you always hear about some like underground shit that, like England or wherever, like what I mean, places that did like bare knuckle, because that was like a obviously, especially after like Kimbo Slice and all that stuff, that little stuff was popping up on YouTube and whatever all over the place. But to get it sanctioned and professionally done and like really done right, and that's why David Feldman's kind of a genius, man. That's hard to do. Like that, like he he had a real vision for it, and shit, man, he's killing it. You know what I mean? I think he's done everything right for the most part. I mean, shit, how can you not? It's probably the second biggest promotion on the planet right now. I think it's the, you know what I mean? It's in combat sports. What's bigger than it besides the UFC?
Yeah, it's pretty massive right now.
You know what I mean? Like what PFL belts was what? That's not. You know what I mean? What's the one? I don't know. I mean, what's bigger than BKFC? Like, especially maybe one, maybe because it's all Asia. You know what I mean? But I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I think BKFC is going to be clearly the the second biggest. Well, and that's another thing. It's a completely different sport, so it's its own thing.
Absolutely. You mentioned before, obviously you have a really good relationship with your kids. Your kids have taken part of your MMA journey, doing training, following you. What were their reactions to the debut in BKFC? What did they think of watching all this?
Well, my daughter, I don't really, I don't even really. She just thinks I'm just crazy, whatever. She's just fun. She's only 5, you know what I mean? So she's just like, she loved seeing it on TV after. I don't want to show her stuff. She watched part of it, maybe a little bit of it live, but I didn't really want to show her that because didn't want to see me get cut. That's the biggest thing about BKFC or bare knuckle boxing in general is like, you're gonna get cut. You guys are gonna bleed. You're gonna get cut for the most part. Me, I do my best to fucking make sure that does not happen. You know what I mean? I really focus on footwork and head movement. That's like my main thing. But my son, I think he went through a training camp with me a couple years back before I got on the Ultimate Fighter. And I said, if you want to be in the corner, I made him go through a training camp with me because I didn't want to be nervous if I got cut or in a bad position, and then I start freaking out because he's screaming, he's freaking out. But he really wanted to be in the corner, and I took him to the gym, and then he watched me spar all different weight classes and kind of do my thing, and he was just like, "Oh, okay." Like he sees me, beat up some dude that's probably like a light heavyweight and just kind of do what I do. He's probably an amateur, big amateur, tough kid, but like, there's levels, you know what I mean? So it just showed him like some size doesn't matter. Some positions, obviously at equal skill level, it does, but you know, you can be the biggest guy in the world and have look at Mighty Mouse. How many people would Mighty Mouse absolutely destroy? You know what I mean? And it's like a lot, a lot from a lot of different weight classes. you know, so it's like I think it was really cool to show him that, like, listen, I know what I'm doing. You don't have to worry. But it was cool because like he went through the whole training camp to the point where he was starting to hold pads for me, and it got him into boxing and martial arts, and now he was doing jiu-jitsu and stuff, so it got him kind of hooked into it. And then I remember right before the walkout for the fight, and he's like, Dada, I was watching this kid. He looks like he's trying to fight like Mike Tyson. He's getting really inside and throwing big wild hooks. Just be careful. Don't be too cocky. He's like, I know you're confident, but don't be too cocky. Just stay sharp. And I'm like, fucking, I was just like, I got it, buddy. But thank you, because it kind of put me in check a little bit. Because he's like, I watched him do pad work, like he was cracking pads. Like, I was so funny. So like, I'm like, all right. I kind of just second guessed for a second. I'm like, all right, dude, I already know what I'm doing. Get out of here. But it was awesome to see him like that focused and that like detailed already. You know what I mean? Like, it was cool. It was cool. But he understands. He knows what it is. He's 11 now, so this was years ago at that time. So now he's I think he just he believes in my abilities. He's seen it. He's seen me train every day. He knows he sees me. You know, he'll wake up. He wakes up for school. If sometimes I'm sleeping in because I'm going into the gym right after. You know what I mean. Then I come back. He knows I'm going right back to the gym. So like he knows. He sees all the work I put in. So I don't think he's too worried about it. But it is what it is. You know what I mean. It's the fight life. You know what I mean? You got kids that you got to prep them the way you can. And, I've been lucky enough to, really focus, like I said, on my head movement and footwork. Never got a concussion in a fight. Don't plan on taking many. So I feel like that's where I have a lot of confidence and I don't really worry much because I know that I haven't taken much damage in fights and I focus so much on that. And I mean, I've been fighting professionally since he was born. So like he sees me come back from fights and I'm not too dinged up. So I don't think he probably thinks yeah, he'll be fine. He's going to win the next one, whatever. He probably does. He just thinks, I'm the man or something. He believes in me for sure though.
So you're taking on Zachary Pannell, a guy who's going to be his fifth time fighting for BKFC. Overall, what do you think of him as an opponent here?
Well, I think it's a completely different matchup from who I fought last, who was more of like an outside, long, technical, smart kind of really like I don't want to say point striker, but like outside, methodical type of striker. I think this kid's gonna be more like just rugged. He's gonna be a little shorter, throws a lot of hooks. Probably gonna want to get inside, make it dirty. He's probably gonna be, and like he just came out. I don't know if his last fight he lost, but he came out. I'm pretty sure his last fight he did lose. And he's gonna be hungry. You know what I mean? He's gonna be kind of have a bad taste in his mouth. Coming through off a loss, everybody's usually better. You know what I mean? Usually come back into camp like hungry and kind of nasty, but I got answers for whatever he brings. It's all about just being really intelligent and smart, not to let the like emotions take over. Just try to stay cool, calm, and collected, and do what I do every day. It's easier said than done. One mistake can cost you. I made a couple of mistakes like early on in that fight on the last one. Nobody really noticed it. Everybody say, "Oh, you did great," but like I watched the video and I'm like, "Oh, I can't let that type of stuff happen. Oh, you dropped your hand when you did this. Oh." Sometimes I'll do stuff like that on purpose to make them throw. Like if I get people on their back foot, and I know they're gonna if I'll drop my hand to make them extend because of their back foot. They're not gonna have too much on it. Some guys will if they know how to turn over. But if you know what you're looking at, you know what I mean. You can take that risk for the reward, and it paid off. You just have to understand that when you can and when you can't, because that can be the difference of, you knocking the dude out or getting knocked out yourself. You know what I mean? So it's like that's where all the experience comes in. But looking forward to it. I think this kid's gonna bring it, and I think it's gonna make a show for everybody. And I'm always looking for the finish. So I don't think this is going to a decision. I'll tell you that.
So you get to fight again. Mohegun's son, you get to fight near home. Ton of New England talent on this card. Obviously, yourself, you got Parker Porter on here. You got Slippery Pete Barrett. You got Rick Hahn. You got Randy Costa. I mean, this is for Boston fight fans. Like, this is like the Mecca. This is the
Yeah,
super show
Doomsday
card.
Howard's on the card as well.
Yeah.
Bunch of guys, man. It's a New England. And it's funny too because like you guys get guys like Rick Hahn and Doomsday. It's like and Parker made his debut with well, I don't know if it was his debut, but I watched him the first time I ever watched an MMA fight in my life. I was at World Championship Fighting, which is now Combat FC. All right, it was in the same building. They still have it today. So they actually have a fight the day before my fight in Wilmington, Massachusetts. All right, it's and I watched him fight John Jones. All right, think about that. I don't know if it was his first fight or his second fight, but I watched at the first MMA thing I was ever at. I watched fucking Parker Porter fight John Jones, and it's like just years later, everything comes in. You know what I mean? It took him so long. He finally gets to the UFC. Had some good fights in the UFC, but it took him. Think about that journey. Imagine if he was just like, "Oh, I just got fucking beat. I quit." You know, like fucking John. You just lost to the baddest man on the planet, and nobody knows it yet. You know what I mean? It's just weird how that works. You know what I mean? So you got to believe in yourself, keep grinding. But I'm excited to have the whole New England squad together, and we're gonna fucking blow the roof off that place. Because last time it was that building got a lot of history. I think Gotti Ward was in that building. A lot of big fights, and it's made for like acoustics, so it's made for like for music stuff, mostly for shows. So when you're in there, you can feel the energy in there. You can feel when everybody's roaring and screaming, like you feel that it bounces right back at you. So it's a really great atmosphere to fight, and with all these, because we've all kind of watched each other fight. All the fans have watched everybody from New England that's made it. You know what I mean? So I feel like we're really gonna blow the roof off this place.
I think we've talked about before, but you're really a perfect example. You're truly a dude who's fought at so many different promotions. Obviously, so many big fights on the regional scene. Obviously, now BKFC. You had your run on the Ultimate Fighter, had that huge highlight knockout. You're flashy, you're fun, you're exciting. You're what fight fans want to see. You have a personality. You haven't really, in my opinion, broke out yet. And for me, I'm not sure why. Like, I feel like you're one of those guys who has that complete package. You haven't had, I think you would say, maybe like the defining moment where you maybe really reach that stardom, superstar leaf. Do you feel like BKFC is that platform to open that door for you?
Yeah, it's got to be for sure. I mean, that's the biggest thing about it. It's like a rebirth for me because it's like, you know, and I can train and prep for and do everything that comes natural to me to begin with. Do you know what I mean? Like I want to be in this type of fight. I want to be in this type. Like I feel like I can fight so many different ways. If I gotta be a fucking like just bite down and just be a dog, I can be a technical brawler like nobody fucking knows, man. And it's and I can also that's the thing too. It's not just stupid just going out there rock 'em sock 'em just fucking swinging what my opponent probably will be doing. I'll be hitting little fucking angles, making them go and ripping open shots. But I can do a little bit of everything, you know what I mean? So I think this platform, especially like it's 5 2-minute rounds. I like to come out fucking hot anyway. You know what I mean? I can come out and just go. I don't need to warm up. Like I don't even last fight. I swear to God, I think every like my boxing coach kept saying like let's warm up. Let's re-warm up. Like all right, I almost did it for them because I could feel their anxiety because like they were probably nervous because I was so comfortable. I didn't even warm up. I'm just sitting there just chilling, watching the fights, relaxing. I was so comfortable with it. It's like, what's this guy gonna do? He can't lay on me and hold me. I can't. I'm not gonna lose to someone just holding me the whole time. They won't even let him clinch me. But he can't hold me against the cage the whole time. He's like, we're gonna fight. And I'm like, that don't bother me at all. I'm almost get more worried about like people smothering my game. You know what I mean? Like that's like I don't want a shitty performance. That's what pisses me off more than anything. I want to go out there and put on a show and try to get a finish. And like that's gonna happen every time I fight for BKFC. There's no that's just what it is. You know what I mean? It's gonna be the fucking fist of flying. It's gonna get wild. It's gonna get and it's also a lot of technical, just a little bit of everything, but it's gonna be violent and it's gonna be fast. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's who doesn't want to see that if you're a combat sports, you know what I mean? If you're a combat sports fan, it gets you going.
You're known for having one of the most devastating knockouts on the Ultimate Fighter. We're able to drive Conor McGregor's Lambo. Where were you when the episode aired? Did your phone just nonstop keep going off and off and off?
Yeah, so we watched it. We had like a viewing party at my boy's bar down the street, and then when I like 2 hours later, I went to my mom's house and my phone vibrated for like I couldn't even use it. It like would just it was no, I'm not even joking. It was going viral. So when it went viral, like really viral, I couldn't even use my fucking phone for like 3 or 4 hours because it was just. I try to like every time I would try to like try to use it, it was like you click into something else. It was fucking literally it was wild. It was crazy. I went from like 1,000 followers to like 20,000 in like 4 hours. It was just fucking nuts. It was nuts. And now I'm still locked out of my fucking Instagram. I'm gonna get it back though. I talked to some guy this morning, but I don't even like talking about it. It drives me fucking crazy because I can't even promote my own fights on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, like going back in time and shit. I'm like in my last fight after I fucking won, I was like, Mark Zuckerberg, what the fuck? I'm like, help me out, buddy. I need your help. I need to get back into my Instagram to promote these fights. I'm like, I heard he's like a fight fan now and shit, so I was just kind of being funny, but I'm kind of serious now. It's like, dude, I need your help. Help me out. Who knows? Maybe I shout him out again. Eventually, I annoy him enough. Someone texts some like someone, sends him something a video and he sees it, and who knows helps me out. But yeah, it's been a bummer, but it's kind of good in a way because I'm fucking ultra focused. You know what I mean? I just all I do is just like family stuff and fucking train. You know what I mean? It's like that's what I kind of liked about the Ultimate Fighter too. It was like life is hard. You know what I mean? Life is really hard. Especially with like outside things. Things can go bad real quick. I'm not gonna get too many things about like details about how everybody's going through shit. You know, and all these kids, everybody who's all the fucking. Some of them are like trying not to cry, thinking about their families and this that whatever and blah blah blah. And I'm thinking this is the fucking best thing that could have happened to me right now because like I went there, I shaved my fucking head before I left. I didn't care. I'm ready for war. You know what I mean? I all I have to do. Are you gonna tell me I'm training with the best guys in the world? Eat, sleep, train, repeat. Living in a house with like I didn't even care about living in the house with the fighters, whatever. But I'm talking about like the training and the opportunity. I was all for it. You know what I mean? So some of these guys are it sucks. You got no phone. You got no outlet to the outside world. I ended up having to like write letters to the fucking video guy who was from Boston to find out who was winning and what games and shit and what was because the Celtics were in the playoffs or something. So I'm trying to like write notes to him, and he'd be like, "They won today." Fucking, they sending me notes, but there's something good about that. Fighters need that, like that seclusion that it just zones you in, locks you in. You know what I mean? You got nothing else to focus on. Like you're literally a robot. You're just eat, sleep, train, fight. You know what I mean? And it's simple and but it's it keeps you super disciplined and just dialed in. You never lose focus for a second. You can't. You're submerged in it.
Do you think right now you're having some of the most fun you've ever had in your whole career?
Oh, besides amateur was wild because like I didn't even like plan on being a pro. So like I literally fought for my boys, dude. I fought to like go to a bar, have a fucking like the guy like I would fight for promotion. They would literally like just hook me up with money, like open up the bar for me. Like I didn't even get paid through like it was unbelievable. I had the time of my life as an amateur because I was just doing it for fun. I just like I mean I loved martial arts. The first like 4, 5, 6 fights, seven fights in amateur were just because I was just loving it and like why not? They're gonna pay me like commission and some sponsors. I'm getting paid to do this. Like you're not really getting paid through the promotion, but if you have like some people that will back you up, some local businesses and this or whatever, I was getting paid not much, but like a free tab at the bar with my boys on a fucking Friday on a Thursday, fight on Saturday. Fucking like it was just a good time, just young kids being idiots. But then 5, 6 fights later, I'm like, yo, you just beat the number one guy in New England. We're like, all right, we got to start thinking about if you can do this for professionally because, and if so, we got to change. We got to change this up. We got to start like really training consistently, professionally. You know what I mean? You got to just like, all right, shit. So then we pumped out a bunch of amateur fights all over the country. Went down to Florida, fought for Rise of Warrior. I had a couple titles up here. But that was the one in Florida was cool because like I'm traveling now as an amateur, and you have to fight 3 or 4 times to win the whole thing. To you know what I mean? So it's like, and they're flying in guys, so you're fighting like the best competition like around. So like the competition just better and better and better. So when I went down there and I won all finishes, and one I was like, all right, I'm ready to go pro now. Like I've fought all the top guys in New England, all of them pretty much, like anybody the top guys, and then I'm starting to beat guys outside, beat some buddies and some guys in Oklahoma, some good wrestlers and stuff, and then down in Florida. So I was ready. And then that's the thing is, it was the more mental prep to be pro. Now it's like you got to get disciplined, like real disciplined, and you know. But right now is most fun because I know I have that complete package. I know I have so much knowledge now. There's no more like guessing. You know what I mean? I know how to do everything. I know how to cut weight now. I know how to. It's just there's no guessing. So it's so much fun to just go out there and kind of be free. And I don't give a shit about any of the like I don't care about any of the weird accolades or any of that shit. I really don't. I want to make some money. I want to put on show for my people, and put hopefully collect enough money I can do something for my kids, and that's it.
Absolutely. All right, Rico, last question for you, my friend. In a perfect world, what is the outcome when you make your return to BKFC June 14th against Zachary Pannell?
Perfect world. Perfect world. I see everything coming to me. I set up some stuff, some nice and clean shots, good footwork. Pull them into some traps, piece them apart a little bit, break them down, and when I choose to, or if he overcommits, I get a fucking vicious knockout. And shout out all my people, and we have a cool after party. I go smash a bunch of burgers, and I'll get ready for the next one. I want to be
Absolutely.
fighting for a world title a year and a half.
Year and a half. All
Within
right.
2 years. Within 2 years, I think I could. I really believe I could do it because I want to be super active, right? So I really want to I want to be as active as possible. It's hard. The only thing that's going to be a little bit hard about that is your hands get so fucked up after. So I got to be smart about placement and stuff. But I think where I'm at with camp and training and everything, the rest of my body feels great. I can keep it going as long as I can, get these finishes. I want to finish everybody. If I don't get a fucking finish, it doesn't count in my eyes, man. I want the finish every time, for real. Like what did Tyson say? If he ain't dead, it don't count. Something like that. For real, I want finishes every time, and I think I can fast track myself a little bit and get the knowledge on the way. You know what I mean? Within 2 years, I could easily have 6, 7 fights, man, and be right there.
Absolutely. Well, hey, Rico, man, thank you so much for your time. Once again, can't wait to watch you fight. It's going to be awesome. And good luck, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for having me, brother. Good to see you.
Absolutely. That's it for us tonight. I'm Carl Prusa. He is Mr. Rico DiSciullo. Watch him June 14th, making his return to the BKFC against Zachary Pannell. Take care, fight fans.